didn't give up. You kept coming in, you kept trusting in Jehovah. As your instructors, we're very pleased to see your happy, smiling faces. And if we could, we'd wish that for you every day for the rest of your lives. However, as much as we try, we can't control what happens to us in life. Isn't that true? And change comes for everyone. Sooner or later, it's inevitable. Some changes are small. Other changes, however, can rock our world and leave us shaken to the core. And when that happens, we may suddenly find that we're no longer the person we thought we were. It can seem as if our very identity has been ripped away from us. Consider Moses. Moses grew up in one of the most luxuriant places on earth at the time, that is the Egyptian royal court. Members of the royal household resided in opulent mansions that were dotted along the Nile. These homes were decorated in precious stones, they incorporated pools and gardens. They housed a large staff that prepared lavish meals. Moses likely had a knowledge and understanding of some of the most amazing structures the world has ever seen. And why? Likely, it's because he was schooled from a young age in subjects such as writing and math, science, architecture. In addition, Moses may have witnessed Egypt's rise to become a mighty empire and a powerful military. Moses enjoyed a privileged and extravagant upbringing, and no doubt he became a man of confidence and influence. Acts chapter 7, verse 22 says, "So Moses was instructed in all the wisdom of the Egyptians. In fact, he was powerful in his words and deeds." So when he killed an Egyptian on behalf of his fellow Hebrew brother, he saw himself as a deliverer. He was confident, he was ready, but he was wrong. We know what happened. He fled to Midian, no longer the favored prince, no longer in charge of anyone except some sheep. The confidence he knew back in Egypt had been replaced with confusion, loss, and fear. Moses must have been shaken. So often, disappointments in life bring on feelings of sadness, self-doubt, worthlessness, and that those things, in effect, strip us of our cherished identity. And we're especially vulnerable if we define ourselves by our natural skills and qualities, or by what others think of us, or even by our assignment or position. In effect, when we do that, we're saying, I am what I do, or I am what others think of me. These are deceptive filters that cause us to lose sight of who we really are. And then, when change comes, we're shaken. But are we forsaken? Let's consider Moses again. Was Moses a chosen one to deliver the Hebrews? Well, the answer is yes. Was it Jehovah's time? The answer is no. And neither was he fully qualified for the appointment or the assignment. You see, he needed divine training, and that was something that he could not get in Egypt. It's true he had worldly education, he had confidence, he had poise, but he needed the qualities of patience, meekness, humility, and self-control to be developed to a greater degree. Jehovah saw that, and he knew just how to accomplish it. That would be the lowly occupation of a shepherd in Midian. Now, after 40 years, Moses sees the flaming thorn bush, and to his surprise and shock, Jehovah commissions him 40 years later. Now think about how Moses must have felt at that moment. The realization that he wasn't worthless, that Jehovah still valued him. His daily pain of heart over the suffering of his fellow Hebrews was now being replaced with a keen anticipation what Jehovah was going to do, and no doubt in a marvelous way. So you see, Moses was never really forsaken by God. No, rather, Jehovah had been with him every step of the way those 40 years, molding him, preparing him for an incredible future assignment that he could never have possibly imagined. Jehovah will do the same for you. You see, he takes a long-range view. He sees your potential. He knows how to accomplish it. And remember that Jehovah will do it at the right time and at his time, and that his view must be our view. So when a change comes, whatever it may be, it's just the scene. It's not the entire movie. It's a chapter. It's not the book. You may not know what's coming next, but don't worry. Jehovah does. Decades later, after leading Jehovah's people out of Egypt and navigating through the wilderness, it was now time for Joshua to step up. At Deuteronomy 31, verse 8, Moses said to Joshua, Jehovah will neither desert you nor abandon you. Those must have been very encouraging words. You see, Moses never forgot the lesson he learned all those years ago. He had been shaken, yes, but he was not forsaken. And perhaps that was his motivation for writing another passage in the Bible. See if you remember this. Anyone dwelling in the secret place of the Most High will lodge under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to Jehovah, you are my refuge and my stronghold, my God in whom I trust. Sounds familiar? Psalm 91. Moses had become absolutely convinced that Jehovah was always with him, through the good times and through the hard times. So like Moses, you'll experience joys, some disappointments, and sooner or later, change. Perhaps a change away from a cherished assignment. It may feel devastating. You can either roll with it, or you can be rolled over by it. How will you roll with it? You can roll with it if you remember you are not your career. You are not your assignment. You are not your privilege. You are, however, loved by God. You have a spiritual heritage and you have a wonderful, bright future. And when you remember that, you can gracefully accept the changes that come. And there's something else you can do. You can use your experience to help others. In fact, your willingness to help others, even when you're shaken by personal experience, will reveal your loyalty and your maturity. Do little things as if they were great things. Small tasks reveal a big heart. It's all part of our training now and for life in the new world. And remember this, too. A change of circumstances is rarely as important as a change of attitude. So it's not your position, but it will be your disposition that will bring Jehovah's blessing. So in conclusion, yes, change will come. The world changes, circumstances change, we change. However, Jehovah does not change. His word does not change. And his love for you will never change. So while you may be shaken at times, rest assured you will never, ever be forsaken.
I don't know about you,